It's taken a lot to get to the point where we are right now. Obviously, we're pretty excited about where we've been able to get to. But we've really worked it for some time. It wasn't like something that we just did, a year or so and said, hey, this is what we want to go get done. So it's taken a lot of work, a lot of time. But again, I love the topic of just finances in general. I do a lot of teaching whenever I can in regards to how to get people in the right position to get where they want to be financially. I feel like finances really help to formulate and give you options of things that you can do with your future, and it kind of sets a foundation that your children, your children's children can actually build upon. And that's the key thing. How do we position ourselves effectively, not just for us, but for the people that are around us? So whatever questions you got, my wife sent me an email in regards to some of the things that you wanted to discuss, and go through. So whatever you got, fire away. I briefly looked over those, but whatever question you have, I'm sure I can
Yeah,
give
I
some
can
sort of.
I can pull that up.
No, it doesn't. You don't
Yeah.
have to do that, but whatever direction you want to go, I'm prepared for.
So I guess I want to kind of start from like the beginning too. I've heard Priscilla's story, and I've heard Priscilla tell it, and that's why I wanted to hear from you too. So because where you started is kind of where I am, but I also see like where you guys are, and I see like that's where I want to be too.
Yeah.
So you guys started out really young and in debt. Can you
Yes.
maybe talk to me about what are some of the things that you did practically to get out? Because from my understanding, you guys were upside down on the house. You furnished that house with like furniture. You
Yeah.
had brand new cars.
Massive mistake.
She was selling, you were selling cell phones, and she was doing hair.
Yeah.
And then fast forward 20 years and you guys own everything and have properties out in Kansas. And I'm like, talk to me about that journey. Like, and then I have practical questions for like each, like for each step.
Yeah, absolutely. So first we'll talk about the in debt piece. So I've always kind of had a mindset of saving, doing, just kind of positioning ourselves effectively, not trying to spend more than what we make. But we just got into a situation where we're moving because I had taken a new position. I got promoted to a store manager, and so when we made that move, we decided to purchase a house. I didn't really want to purchase a house. I wanted to rent a house and not purchase because I didn't know how long we were going to be there for. And but we decided to purchase a house. So we purchased a house, and obviously with a brand new house purchase, it was our first brand new house. We had one home already that we had purchased. Our plan was to sell that home and then use the money that we got from that home to purchase the new home that we're purchasing.
So
Well,
you started out with two houses?
no, we started off with one. We had one home at the time before we were making this move to this house that we got indebted to really badly.
Mm.
So when we made that move, the goal was to sell the house that we currently had and then purchase the home that we were looking to buy. Well, over a month's worth of time, we didn't find anybody that wanted to purchase our home. And
Mm.
so we were kind of stuck. So we purchased the new home, even though we didn't sell the old home. Mistake number one.
Mm.
Uh,
Mm.
Mistake number two is that we went into the new home and we didn't understand how much more money you need to spend on a brand new home, a brand new build, than you do on a home that somebody else has already been living in. So we didn't understand that our home didn't come with a lawn at all, but we had to put a lawn in. We didn't understand that, it didn't come with any curtains of any type. It's not even the rods on the windows to cover the curtains of any of your windows you have. And all
Mm.
that stuff costs lots of money. So I'm thinking curtains. We can go to Walmart, purchase, $200-300 worth of curtains, and we'd be good.
No, you did.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like we didn't know, right? And so we go into, I think it was Sears at first,
Yeah.
and we looked at like curtains, and it was like
Oh
one
my
curtain
gosh.
for like 200 bucks,
$300.
$300. I'm like, this must be wrong. Like one curtain for like 300 bucks.
That is
Let's
crazy.
go to Walmart. So we go to Walmart, and they have like one curtain for $100, and I'm like, what is going on? Curtains cost this much money? It's crazy. So then
Ended up at Lowe's.
we ended up at Lowe's and buying like these tent curtains that you just kind of like put up in there, and they're like just like paper, and you put like a little clip on it to cover your windows. That's what we ended up using. So then we went out, we bought furniture. We actually still have the furniture. It's still actually in this house right now. We bought this furniture. We financed the furniture. I had purchased a car before we purchased the house. We purchased a house. We didn't have enough money for the down payment on the house. So we took out a balloon loan for the down payment. And then we took out another loan for the actual purchasing of the house. So that was mistake 2, 3, and 4. Mistake 5.
So you weren't playing around.
Yeah. Mistake 5 was
It was upside down.
Yeah, the mistake 5 was the TV. So we went out, we bought a brand new TV, you know, and we financed that. So we just really just jammed ourselves up. I was making more money because I got promoted, but I completely outspent all the promotion and plus, to the point where one day I was going through all the numbers, punching it up, and we owed more money than what I was bringing in on a monthly basis. So we owed more per month than what I was bringing in per month, based on us being able to eat and do normal things. So that was a pretty tough time, pretty difficult time, kind of a reality check of the mistakes that we had made. And I, feeling like I was responsible for our household, felt like that I had completely just, put us in a bad position, and it wasn't a good feeling, because I grew up not having a whole lot. I grew up having very little. And so I understood what that felt like as a child. And so now being responsible for that, I had this passion about, never ever being and feeling the way that I felt at that moment. And I think that's what really starts the path of financial freedom is, it kind of starts with going through something and realizing that I don't want to be where I am and I don't like the way that this feels and I have to do something different, because it's only that goal of kind of getting out of how you feel and where you are that continues to keep you focused on the success that you want to receive when it gets hard. Because a lot of people say they want to be financially successful, but the behavior doesn't tell you that. The behavior says that you aren't really serious about what you really want to do. And so you just have to be really serious. Like, I'm going to do things that probably 95% of the people around me are not willing to do. They're just not. They're not willing to, make the type of sacrifices that they need to make, position themselves effectively, and just go through the process and hang on to it. And so for us, the last, probably 15 years of our life, we held on to this thought process of being debt free. We kind of held on to that. That was, something that we committed to being a goal of ours. And it's really directed tons of our behavior. We've still gone on vacations and we've still done things like that. But at the same time, we've always been very mindful of what we do, when we do, how much we do. And and that's been consistent with our approach because we had that as a goal. So in spite of the things that we did along the way, we never left that goal, and it's kind of guided our behavior. And the beautiful thing is that now that we're in that place of financial freedom, what I've come to learn from that whole process is that the financial freedom really wasn't about the money. It was really about the behavior. It was really about the mindset. The mindset, and we received this part of our journey a long time ago.
Because I'm writing down what you're saying, okay?
Yeah, no worries. But we realized a long time ago, I think the breakthrough for me, maybe about, 7 or 8 years ago, I'm a huge fan of Best Buy. Like, that's my favorite store. I can go into Best Buy and I can buy all kinds of things because it's an amazing place to buy things from. But where we really got an awesome breakthrough was the time we went into Best Buy and we had the money to basically buy anything that we wanted in the store and pay for it cash, not finance, but we could go in there and we could buy anything we wanted in the store. And I walked out of the store and I told my wife, I said, you know what? We could have bought anything in this store and paid cash for it. And we didn't. And that was like this moment of all my life. I always felt like, we had to just do and get and buy and purchase. And now we have this completely different mindset about the value of stuff and this completely different mindset on how God gave me this whole revelation. 1 year, I was really digging finances big time. I was listening to Dave Ramsey, and he gave me so much good insight. And I'll tell you what I like about Dave, and some things that not necessarily as passionate about with Dave, but um, and God gave me this whole revelation of the purpose for your money. And that's when it really just kind of got solidified in our spirit that the purpose for our money was to make more money. That the purpose for our money was not to buy stuff. That the purpose was to make more money. Like, how can we truly be free? We always say financial freedom. How can we truly be free if we are tied to if we spend everything that we get? Because if you always spend what you get, then you're always going to need to go get or do something in order to get more. But if you create a system, the wealth system is truly created around how can you get your money to make money for you. It's not about how you go make more money. It's how do I get my money to actually start making money for me and give me the capability of getting to where I really want to get to. And that's a huge shift in the mindset of people, because we've always felt like, especially people of color, we always feel like that stuff is what kind of defines who we are, as opposed to actually building wealth. And when you build wealth, like the Bible says, the wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous. He says, a good man lays up an inheritance for his children's children. And the revelation of God.
Your wife says that to me all the time. That's so inspiring. It's the word, though.
Yeah. And the great revelation of that is that the inheritance that God gave me in my revelation it wasn't the money. We think it's the money that you pass down from your generation to the next generation, but it really isn't. It's really the mindset. That's really what the passing down and the wealth is. When he says the wealth of the wicked, or not the wealth of the wicked, but the inheritance that you give to your children is how to use what they have. Think about great families like the Rockefellers or the Kennedys. They've had money in their lineage for forever. Now, you would think that someone foolish along the way would come and blow it all. But because they're taught the financial principles and behavior, that's what allows them to sustain a measure of wealth with what they do. And so when we say the wealth of the wicked, we consider wicked people that have a lot of money. So the church has always consumed this notion, at least when I grew up, they always had this notion that when they say the wealth of the wicked, it was always related to people that had a lot of money. And when they said it's stored up for the righteous, it was always connected to people that had no money. So it was like, if you're wealthy, you're the wicked. If you don't have anything, you're the righteous. But that's not it at all. So when you go into Matthew chapter 25, which is the story of the talents, you'll see when Jesus is speaking about that parable, what did he say to the man that had one that did nothing? He said, "You wicked and lazy servant." Right? It had nothing to do with how much money he had. It had to do with his behavior is what made him wicked. So our behavior is what we've been given, is what categorizes us as being righteous or wicked in the terms of financially, with the resources that God's provided, not based on how much money you either have or how much money you don't have. Guess what? You should not expect a harvest in the fall if you don't plant in the spring. God doesn't say if you need, then you get a harvest. He says to those that sow, get the harvest. Those that actually do the behavior, go through the activity, go through the process. Just because you need doesn't mean you get the harvest. You get the harvest based on your ability to sow. And that's what qualifies you now for the harvest. I should go and expect a harvest because I've sown all this time the right type of seeds. So now the expectation is harvest. But if I don't sow, I could be in great need and always look for people to supply my need, as the Bible says, My God shall supply every need according to his riches and glory in Christ Jesus. So we as Christians have held on to this thought process that because God said he'll supply my need, I don't have to do anything. And God
Wow.
will supply the need. But that's completely opposite. Because in Deuteronomy 8:18, he says this. He says, I will give you the power or the ability to obtain wealth. He didn't say, I'll give you wealth. He said, I'll give you the power, the ability. So God wants to work through us, not outside of us.
Yeah. I already got one page.
So that's just a synopsis of kind of where we were from just from a debt standpoint. We were deep in debt. We had all kinds of craziness going on. And so, we really had a plan. It's taken us about, 15 years to fully satisfy that plan that we put in place. But it's been an amazing journey, and we have a starting point for our children that I don't think I could have imagined us having for where we are right now. So that's kind of a little bit of the story. I know there's a lot of practical things that you want to know about. So I'll let you ask those questions as well, whatever that might look like, and we'll kind of give you that as well.
So the Dave Ramsey plan, and you said you like some of his things, but you don't like some of his things, is to kind of like do those 7 baby steps. But what I'm hearing from you is you guys, and what I like is it's cool. You guys went out of order. So what I know from Dave Ramsey is he's going to say, save the 3 to 6 months, pay off your house, then, pay off your college and stuff before you really start investing.
Yes.
You guys started investing in your real estate while you were paying off your house.
Yes.
Right?
Kind of.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, if I get too personal or too nosy in like these questions.
We're completely open. So first, the piece.
So how did you know you were on track to be like, hey, now instead of paying off this house and like, I want to start investing. And then I want to know why you chose Kansas.
Yeah, that's a good question. So first, the house that we first purchased that we couldn't sell in Kansas, and we bought the other house. We eventually sold that other house when I moved from Kansas to North Carolina. We eventually got that house sold, and we got out of all that crazy debt that we were in with that house. Now, we kept all the stuff that was in the house, but we got out of the debt of the actual house itself. Eventually, it was a great story. I won't bore you with that now. But the first house that we had that we couldn't sell, we decided to rent that house. So because we couldn't sell it, we said we will rent it. And so we kind of got forced into the rental piece because we couldn't sell the house. And that was one of the best decisions that we never really made on our own. It was kind of like
a God thing.
Yeah. He didn't allow us to sell the house. So we ended up renting the house. And then, it just kind of that was kind of the starting of our real estate piece, even though we weren't renting it because we were like, man, let's go into real estate and let's buy houses and do stuff. No, we did it because we couldn't sell it. And so that was like, what should we do? Well, let's do this. Okay, well, that's what we did. And so we had the house and we thought about selling it many times over, especially within the first 5 or 6 years from the time that we stopped living in that house. We thought about selling it time and time again. And we just didn't for one reason or another. And I said, oh, maybe we should sell it now. And I was like, oh, no, maybe we shouldn't. We just wait till the value increases a little bit more and then we'll sell it. And then maybe we should sell it now. And we just never did. And we held on to it way before we decided to really get into real estate. So real estate really didn't come for, I don't know, real estate for us, outside of that one house that we had, really, we've only been in the game for, I don't know, 2.5 years. So we're in the short game of real estate. But what's happened is I believe we've been able to get into real estate at a whole different level than most people get into it. Because you listen to folks say, hey, you can get into real estate, no money down, using other people's money and going through all this and blah, 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 blah. And the problem is it can work, but there's so much risk involved. If one small thing goes wrong, you're up a creek without a paddle. some of the real estate that we just purchased here recently, we just signed on actually Monday. We signed on Monday. Those folks were selling because they were hurting, because they got in a little bit over their head. Now, I didn't know how over their head they were until, we got the whole, statement that comes from the from the closing company. And you can, because they have to, show like how much money goes to where for the seller, how much money goes where for the buyer. And I could see like, wow, man, they were really in a jam. But but if you do it that way and you go into it with no money and you try to finagle and use other people's money and try to make a little something here, there, wherever, things have got to work out pretty effectively. And if they don't, you really get jammed up. And so my conversation to folks that want to get involved in real estate, and it depends on what you want to do. There's some people that want the real estate and rent. There's some people that want real estate and flip. And there's some people that want real estate that they can, where they can partner with other people, which is called, from a stock market standpoint, which is called REITs, REIT, where you can get involved in a group of people that you buy into, kind of like a stock. And this big organization is buying real estate, and based on whatever percentage you put into it, you get a certain percentage of return back from it. So there's a lot of different ways you can get into it, just based on, what your desire is, what you feel comfortable with, how much, money and things that you have. But we got into real estate because it was kind of God just didn't allow us to sell the house initially. And so that's how we kind of got into it.
Yeah. So Miss Priscilla described it as the money that y'all make from the house in Kansas goes in a separate account.
Yeah.
And you don't even, so even from the beginning, you guys weren't even using that money to get out of debt, more debt?
No, we was.
Oh, okay.
When we first started our debt train, when we first started the debt train, we put as much money in. We just started tacking stuff. So this is where I like Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey's baby steps I love. So first he says, hey, you need to save up $1,000. You need to get $1,000, have $1,000 saved. After you get $1,000, then you gotta, you gotta start attacking the debt in his the snowball, which is with the least amount. A lot of people got a lot of philosophies around that, whether it's the debt snowball, the debt avalanche. You can go and YouTube stuff for days on people that will be on both sides of the fence, and they will be really passionate both ways. Me personally, I like Dave's way with the snowball, with the debt that is the least amount, regardless of the interest, because to his point, you take that money that you were using over here after that one's paid off, and now you take that money plus the money you were paying on the other one to pay something else off. And that was the approach that we took. Whatever was the least amount, we started paying off. We had credit cards, we had furniture, we had TVs, we had four-wheelers, we had all kinds of stuff. I mean, I don't know how many vehicles, we had all kinds of debt. And so we were intentional about that. And then I got paid, I still get paid I don't get paid commission now. I get a bonus at the end of the year, but I was getting paid at that time commission every month. And so we started to budget our money and say, this is approximately how much money we're going to bring in. And so based on this money that I think I'm going to make, if we have the worst month ever, I'm still going to make this much. And so we budgeted off of that. So anything that I got that was above and beyond that also went to extra debt. And so we just started like pounding debt. And so I was so excited about it. Like when bills would come in, I'd be happy because I'm ready to write the check and send it in.
And so one of the things too, as example, is once we started paying one of those things off, we used that extra money that we were putting on that now going to the next thing. So when we paid our car, our truck, that was one of the first things that we paid off. When we paid our truck off, the white one that I had before this one, we used that money to go against certain things.
Yeah.
And I think before we even got that truck paid off, when I was working, we wouldn't even use my paycheck. So we would use his for everything. And then my paycheck actually went straight to the truck.
Yeah.
So, we targeted certain things with certain things. And so after that, then, after we started paying that off, then we took that money that we was using there and started putting it on. So the amount kept on getting bigger. And so we were able to pay off everything else like that.
Yeah. So kind of going down the train, we kind of talked about being in debt, we're talking about like your first rental property. So you guys own a home, you have a rental property now. Maybe you're still maybe you're still paying off debt. But how did you know after that first rental property and you live here in Bristow or North Carolina, wherever you were, how did you know, like, okay, let's buy a second house, and where?
Yeah. So two things.
And how much did you, like, you don't have to give like an exact number, but how did you know like you had enough saved in the bank where it's like, okay, we have enough money for a mortgage on 3 houses?
Yeah. So this is what I did. So first off, we didn't make any move until that house that we had in Kansas was paid off. So
Really?
that was a big deal for us. Like, a part of the plan was paying that house off. So even though it was being rented, we was using a lot of that money. I mean, that money basically is going towards whatever we needed to pay off at the time. And then we got to a place where we no longer had any other debts.
Right.
So now we was intentional over the past, I don't know, maybe 7 years or
When
so.
we paid it off.
Over 7
Yeah.
years or so, we said, hey, we're going to attack this house.
Cars.
And so we started attacking the house. Like, I mean, we're paying, $1,000, $1,500 extra a month on that house to get it paid off. So we had that house. We purchased that house back in 2002.
One?
2002.
Okay, after.
September, actually. 2002 is when we purchased it. And we paid that house off, I believe,
I
4
don't
years
remember.
ago. I think it was 4 years.
It was when we was here. I know that.
Yeah, we were here. So it was probably about
Shortly
4
after.
years, probably about 2000. I know we didn't have the truck then. So I would say,
Paid off in like 10 years, 10 to 12 years.
yeah, 2015. So we bought it in 2002 and we paid it off in 2015. That house. That was a part of the plan, because now as we're becoming more financially fit and savvy, the thought process starts to creep in your mind. What can you do differently? And what kind of things can you do that your money's making you more money? And so now that whole purpose for your money that God gave me back in 2000 and, I don't know, 13, 14 timeframe, I'm starting to think about opportunities and what does that look like? Well, the best opportunity I have is a house that's already over halfway paid off. If I want to get involved in something, real estate's a great way to get involved. Everybody's talking about, do it this way, that way, this way, that way. And I didn't do it. I just stayed firm to the plan. I wanted to be debt free. That was my number one goal. And so we eventually, I think it was either 4 or 5 years ago, we paid that house off.
Wow.
And so now that house became such a freedom, because now everything that we're getting from that house is all extra income. We're not doing anything except for we got to pay taxes and we got to pay for the insurance every year. But outside of that, we don't have to do anything else. And it's a tax write-off because we have the house, because we're homeowners. So we get the tax write-off. It's a different deal for us, but we still owe on this one. And so now I'm taking the money that we're getting on that house and I'm using it for this house. Because again, our number one goal is to pay everything off. And so we started doing that. And then through this time, since we've been here in Virginia, we've been here since 2011. I've been promoted twice. So I've been promoted twice since 2011. And so what we've done is we've said, with promotion doesn't mean spend more money.
Mm-hmm.
With promotion just means we can pay more stuff off. We can pay more stuff off. And so with the promotion, we got to a place where every single month we were paying at least $1,000 extra on the house. At least.
Wow.
When I got my bonus, I would take my bonus and I'd use at least 50, 60% of that and I'd put it on the house. Just wouldn't even think, yeah, we want to go on vacation. We want to do all that. But guess what? We're paying this house off because we're going somewhere. And so year after year after year after year. And then we got to a point even this year, right? The only way we paid this house off and why we paid it off, when we paid it off, was because of my yearly bonus. And I took a massive amount. And I said, we are done. Boom. Paid off.
Wow. So for someone who is maybe outside of your story,
Yep.
How much would you recommend them maybe have saved before they invest in the house? Definitely the Dave Ramsey step, like
Yes.
3 to 6 months saved in your savings.
Yes.
And then
I would always have that in your savings. And, when you're thinking about purchasing a home, I would always purchase a home with a minimum of 20% down.
wow. So I've heard people say 10% down, but you guys do 20?
Yes. And let me tell you why 20.
Okay.
20% down, you don't pay what they call PMI. PMI is an insurance that you pay that goes because you have not paid at least 20% on the value of your home. And you pay that extra PMI until you get to 20% of the value of your home paid. So to eliminate that extra payment, which could be a couple of $100, depending on how much the home costs, to eliminate that from being a hurdle or an option, you just put 20% down and it's out of the equation. You don't have to worry or be concerned about it at all.
What does PMI stand for?
Primary mortgage insurance. And it's basically because you are buying a home. See, the banks have all of their loans backed, right? FHA, all your loans that you get from the bank, they're backed by two entities, either Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae, right? That's why back in the housing crisis, those two names were very prominent back in 2008, because all these banks, Bank of America, Fifth Third, you name it, Capital One, they all back their loans that they do from the bank. So the federal government says, hey, I'll back the loans for the banks to give the banks the flexibility to be able to loan money. So basically the bank is getting a loan from the federal government, right? For a cheaper price, percentage wise, than what they're offering you when you get a loan from them. So the federal government is backing all of the mortgages that the banks get, because the banks are getting a mortgage, basically, quote unquote, from the federal government to back that loan. That's why you have a VA loan, which is different than an FHA loan, which is different than a bank loan. A bank loan means the bank is backing the loan. You normally never see that unless it's a very small bank and you have some sort of great relationship with the bank that they trust you enough to be able to do that. So because they do it like that, Fannie Mae says, okay, we'll back this loan, but if the person that's purchasing this home doesn't pay at least 20% of this home, have it paid, financing at least 80% or less, then we're going to charge you, bank, for you lending money to someone that hasn't paid at least 20%. And so the bank doesn't pay that. So they roll the dollars and cents to you. You get that. And you pay that.
So just to avoid all of that, that's why you guys always have 20% down?
At least. The first house outside of the one that we already owned, we paid cash for it. We paid cash for the second home that we purchased. We went in and we said, hey, we're paying cash for this home. And we went in and we cut a check and we paid cash.
So you owned it straight up?
Yep. Straight up from day one. It needed some work.
How did you find it? Did you like Zillow it, Redfin? You're familiar with the area?
Yep. Yeah. So this is what we did. Nothing. So why we buy in Kansas? This is why we buy in Kansas.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
And I want to know all about this property manager.
Yes, this is why we buy in Kansas. We buy in Kansas because my wife was from Kansas. I was there for some time there, and we built great relationships. And so when I left, one of the elders at the church that we were in, he ended up becoming a part owner of the Remax that was there in Salina, Kansas. And so he helped property manage the first home that we had as far as the rental stuff, all that stuff. And we weren't really doing it like a property manager relationship. We were kind of doing like, hey, can you hook us up? And we'll pay you, on the side. And we did that for a time. And then he started his own property management company outside of what he was doing with Remax. So I said, okay, well, if that's what you're going to do, we went through so much craziness trying to manage the property ourselves. We went through so much. And I'll tell anybody that wants to do rentals, get a property manager. Don't even think about it. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to pay them the 10%. Pay them the 10%, get a property manager. It'll save your life. It is the best thing since sliced bread. So because I had such a relationship with him and I really trust this guy with my life, we utilized him and he's always came through for us. So we said, hey, we'll use him, as we get ready to do different things. And so I came to him about 3 or 4 months and I said, hey, you know what? I'm really interested in to purchase some additional property. Just kind of keep your eye open for something, blah, 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 blah. And so one day he calls me. He says, yeah, I just got a call from this lady that's, really literally a couple door down from me. And she's older now and she wants to sell her house. This is how much she wants to sell it for. This is what she wants to do. And I said, okay. And he's like, let me know if you want to get on this, because if you do, then, I'll make sure that you get it. But if not, I got somebody else that's lined up. And so I said, no problem. We'll take it. And so we just, we went and he said, this is how much it was. And we went and we bought it and we did it. And so that's kind of one of the main reasons that we buy in Kansas, because we have a property manager that's there. I got a construction crew that's there that helps us with any construction needs and things we have. And so I got a whole setup of things that can take place. Now, with this last transaction we did, I got a bank that I got a relationship with there that I can use basically for whatever I need to use for when I need to use them. I got an insurance company person that will help us from an insurance standpoint. It gave us great rates. We just created our LLC. So now none of the properties actually go into our own personal name. It actually goes into the LLC name, which I really wanted to do. And it's just working out really perfectly. And then the other flip side of Kansas is your real estate there is so much cheaper than it is here. And so you can buy so much more there. And so we looked at the average income for the area. We look at the average price for the area as far as homes. And so we always stay under the average for homes in the area, because we want as many people to be qualified to actually rent our homes as possible. So if you go and you buy a really nice home and you want to rent it out, guess what? You need somebody with really nice money. And a lot of times, if they got really nice money, two things are going to happen. One, they're not going to rent at all.
Right.
They're going to rent for a short period of time. So you got to find a market within your rental that's going to be satisfactory for a whole lot of people, but yet not be the slums. Like, I don't do any bootleg rentals. Like, all of our stuff is tight. Like, I would go live in it myself tight. That's how we keep it. I don't do any shucking and jiving and, trying to cover stuff up and, stuff looks bad. If something's broken, we fix it instantly. We do everything possible to create the best possible experience for whoever's going to be living in the home. Because we want, like my wife said, we want a reputation that if you come and you rent from us, you're going to get quality. And not just quality as far as the house you're moving into, but the service that comes along with it, which now will keep people a lot longer. And if people see your stuff is really tight, really nice, the only question now they've got to ask themselves is, can I afford it? That's the only question they're now asking. And you get somebody of quality to move into homes, as opposed to somebody that's trying to go in, destroy, tear up, whatever the case might be. Yeah. Because once that lease is up, whether you do a 6 month or whether you do a year, if they aren't taking care of your stuff, you can boot them out. Lease is up. You got to go. So it gives you flexibility to make sure you keep your stuff tight. And so that's why we purchased there, because the houses are so much cheaper. So, we just purchased. Did you tell her we just purchased houses?
Yeah, I told you, right? 6 houses we were
6
in the.
Yeah. So now you have 9 houses total?
8. Well, 9 counting the one we live in.
Yeah. Because we just paid it off.
Yeah. 9. Yeah.
That's so cool to me. But you didn't start out that way. So you guys are 2.5 years in the game, and you have all this now.
Yes, we just
because you did work back in 2002 to get out of to get to this part.
Yeah.
So how do you know like what is a good house to buy? Like when you're looking and when you're working with your property manager, you say like you would want to live in it yourself, but like what are you looking for?
So for me in Salina, Kansas specifically, because I know that market specifically, it's a certain side of town the house must be on. They have a north side and they have a south side. We buy nothing on the north side. I don't care how good it look. I don't care how much it
What
costs.
does it depreciate, right?
Well,
Or
it
is
don't matter.
it's just-
The north side is just it's like almost like the ghetto,
Mhm.
right? And so we not buying nothing on the north side because the people that live on the north side don't take care of stuff on the north side. The north side is bad. So you got to buy on the right side of town or in the right area. Then again, you go back to that median. What is the median that folks can afford? Because you want a very large amount of people to be able to afford your stuff. Then
Yeah.
there is, what my property manager gave me some knowledge some years back, that the market is always flooded with 2-bedroom homes. Now, you're probably not going to find that, if you're buying homes around here, you're not going to find that as a problem because everything around here is going to have 3, 4, 5 or something. But there, the market was very overflooded with 2-bedroom homes. So we don't buy any 2 bedrooms. Everything we get is 3 bedrooms at minimum because that was important for that market out there. The other thing is from a price standpoint, we got the area that our house is in. That is a very nice niche area. It's a nice size home. All the homes are about the same. All of them are about the same age. When they have problems, they have the same types of problems. So because we know that the homes that were built at this time and where they're built, it's just really easy for the construction crews and for everybody to just have this common knowledge about it. And it's close to Walmart. It's just really beneficial. The area itself is just really beneficial. And so that's kind of the area that we look at on a consistent basis.
Wow. And then how often do you visit your properties?
Not very often.
I trust the property manager.
Yeah, I mean, he goes in and he's got the ability based on our contract to go in once a month. He usually goes in at least once a quarter because we wrote into the contract that he is the one that changes out the filter on the furnace. But we do that so he got the ability to go in there and them not be like, well, why are you always coming in here? So that gives him the ability to always go in the house at least once a quarter to change out the filter and just to be mindful of what's happening in the house.
So he acts as like the landlord, or you guys are like the landlord?
No, I mean, we act as the ones that receive the money.
We're partners.
He's a property manager, so he does everything.
Landlord, I guess,
See, when
right?
you have a property manager, they do everything. Like we don't even get paid from the people. He, as a property manager, is responsible for getting the money. He's got to pay us regardless if he gets money from the people or not. If the people stop paying and he's the one that calls the lawyer.
Good.
He's the one that calls the lawyer to go through the whole process of getting them kicked out and evicted and all that. Now, we still have to pay for whatever repairs need to be happening, but he's responsible for all that. So I don't get a check from all these different people. I get my money from him on a certain day for a certain amount, goes into my bank account, regardless of what happens, what takes care of. And he gets 10%, which is normally what a property manager will charge you, of the monthly rent, which, again, I'm telling you right now, is well worth it.
And for Kansas?
Yeah. And then he changes the locks when people leave. He makes sure that the property gets put into the MLS for rent when someone gets out. He's responsible for getting somebody back in there within a certain length of time. Like, he goes through all of that stuff and takes care of all of that stuff. So, we just sit back and say, thumbs up. Great job. Thank you.
Wow. I have 2 more questions.
I'm gonna butt in real quick because I want to make sure that just get your important ones out, and then anything that we don't address, we can email, because I know it takes longer, and I want to be respectful of his time and your time. So we're gonna end at 7:30. So whatever you got.
Yeah. Yes.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay. And then whatever you don't cover, I can get that to you.
Yeah, I've picked like the major question, like just like the bigger ones. you answered a lot of them with the property manager, so it's just actually one kind of, it's kind of a bigger question on that. Do you create the lease or do they?
Yeah, property manager does. I mean, we go over it. So I know we agree, hey, this is what we want to put in the lease. We don't want to have any pets in our homes. We don't want this. We don't want that. So it's a partnership as far as what the lease entails. And he has certain things that he wants in there, all right, to protect himself as he's the property manager. Certain things I want in there to protect me. And so we kind of go along together as far as what we want in that lease.
Yeah. And then like if they come with suggestions on like lawn care, whatever, do you like give them permit, like are they allowed to make recommendations and do all that? Or
we got a lawn guy that does
to use him?
Well, we only do lawn for houses that are empty that we're looking to rent.
Transition.
But once people has a home, they are responsible for the upkeep of the lawn and all that kind of stuff. And if they don't upkeep it and we have to come and cut it, then we charge them for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, we might have to get our own HOA.
What would you think are the appliances that like, you know, that are like a waste of money, like a cleaning crew or lawn care or whatever maintenance? Like,
yeah, I wouldn't do any of that for other people. I would only fix what they ask to be fixed based on something happening in the home that they didn't tear up. So like if the refrigerator went out, I'd replace the fridge. If the hot water went out, I'd make sure the hot water was good. You know, stuff like that. But I would not give them some sort of maintenance that they would use outside of something that, they did not damage or something.
Yeah. That's again, like, kind of down the road, but I did like do some research on property managers and I have a friend who's in real estate.
Yeah.
And they were just saying how when they have a rental, they give like, or not even a rental, when they buy a house, they give like a suggestion on here's like everyone I use, you can go ahead and do that.
Yeah, that's definitely beneficial. If they wanted to have a service, take care of that. Mm-hmm. Totally agree. Like our construction crew would be somebody that we'd recommend. Our lawn guy.
Right.
Yeah. Totally agree with that.
Well, that's all I got. This is really, really, really cool practical stuff. I like talking to your wife about, some of the dreams that God has in my heart. But then again, as I think about it, I'm like, okay, well, how can I practically get there? And she's like, all right, let's bullet point it. You got to talk to my husband.
Budget. So, that's the first thing you got to do. You got to have a budget. You got to be intentional about how much you're spending and about how much you're not spending. And then you have to be intentional about the bills that you want to pay, intentional about getting out of debt. I think too many people try to get too engaged in investing too quickly. I have a rule. They call it the 70-10-10-10. And basically that means whatever you make, we always talk about 10% go to God, 10% go to savings, 10% go to investing, and you spend 70. And if you can teach a child that from when they get their first dollar, imagine where they'd be if they went through and they followed through on the 70-10-10-10. But most people, the average American, I looked it up the other day, spends 13% more than what they make.
70-10-10.
That's it. And get to that point, just like we did. When these two promotions that we had, we were saving gobs more money because of the promotions. I didn't start spending more money. We didn't go out and buy something crazy that we couldn't afford. We stayed right in the pocket of where we needed to be. And now the promotions just became just a greater level of increase that we had available to us that helped propel us to where we are now. And now it's not even 70-10-10-10. Now we're spending like, I don't know, maybe 40, 45.
Wow.
Because we don't have to. We don't have to spend more, and we can use it for so many different things. My goal, me and my wife, we talked about, each one of my kids, they will go to college. I got one in college right now, and he will come out with $0. He will not have a student loan. because dad and mom will make sure that he doesn't have one. These other two that go, they will not have a student loan when they get out because dad and mom will make sure that that's the case. Each one of them for graduation, I already told them, their graduation gift is a home that I will give them that they will have their own rent and income from. I'll sign over to them. They will have it. And now they have something that they can come out of college debt free and have a home that's bringing in income that they can start managing and going through the process with of as they get into their career. They've already got this jump start. And now we have this generational wealth that is able to continuously be taught.
Yeah.
One to
How does Janae Alicia Glover sound? I'm just kidding. Janae Alicia Glover. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No,
So-
it's
so that's-
awesome. I really, really, really appreciate you guys taking some time. And I mean,
Yeah.
I know it's a random Thursday night, but I really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you do go out there, do great things. If you need more detail on something, send us some questions, things. We can talk again, whatever it looks and feels like. Our mission is to try to help everyone recognize this measure of success. As the church, sometimes we talk about the giving piece of things, but we don't actually talk about how. We say give and then everything's just supposed to happen, but that's not what the word says. And so if we can start get more practical on how God wants to use us through this process, now we can start teaching people and seeing that which God says is made available to us come to life in people's lives.
Yeah.
Because we don't change. Nothing will, it doesn't matter how much money you make. You can make double of what you're making right now, but if you spend double,
You
nothing.
don't got nothing.
So the only way that you change, the only way that life changes is if you change. And the only way that we change is we become practical and we recognize the mindset and the behavior that's necessary to get to where we want to be. And then when we get there, then it's like, wow, look at where I am. And it's not the money, it's who we have become. We've become capable of making the right decisions that lead us to the financial victory that God promised us in the Word.
I receive it. Watch me.
I love it.
Well, thank you guys again.
You're
Miss
welcome.
Priscilla, I'll be texting you. We'll be meeting up soon.
Yes, ma'am. And then I recorded this, so just in case you didn't take all the notes, I'll send you a link. Also,
Oh, you were so nice.
I'll also I sent you a link of Saturdays. He talks about the 10, 10, 70, 10, 10, 10, 70. So if you want that information, I think you should really click on the link and listen to that one as well. Okay.
Okay. Sounds great.
You can share it with other people as well.
Yeah.
All right.
All
Thank you. Have a good rest of your night. I'll see you
All
guys
right.
soon.
Okay.
God bless.
Bye-bye.
Love you. Coffee date. Let me know.
Okay.
Nobody want no